Hello everyone, Dr. Alan Mandell here. Welcome back to my channel, Science of Healing. Hello everyone, Dr. Mandell here. Today we're going to talk about something very simple yet incredibly powerful, carb-free foods, and how incorporating them into your daily life can dramatically improve your energy, your metabolism, your brain health, and even how your body ages over time. Now, when most people hear carb-free, they think restriction, deprivation, or extremes. But that's not what this is about. This is about understanding how certain foods work with your biology instead of against it. Carbohydrates break down into glucose. Glucose raises insulin. Chronically elevated insulin is one of the fastest paths to inflammation, fat storage, fatigue, and metabolic disease. Carb-free foods give your body nourishment without triggering those harmful spikes. Let's start with one of the most powerful carb-free foods on the planet, eggs. Eggs contain zero carbohydrates and are one of nature's most complete proteins. They're rich in choline, which is essential for brain function, memory, and nerve signaling. Studies show choline supports liver health and reduces inflammation. Eggs also provide fat-soluble vitamins like A, D, E, and K, nutrients that many people are deficient in. How do you use eggs daily? Simple. 2 to 3 eggs in the morning stabilize blood sugar for hours. You can boil them, scramble them in olive oil, or make an omelet with herbs. When your blood sugar stays stable, cravings disappear, mental clarity improves, and energy becomes steady instead of crashing. Next, let's talk about fish and seafood. Eggs were once feared, blamed, and pushed aside, yet science now reveals they may be one of the most misunderstood and life-changing foods ever placed on a human plate, because inside this simple shell is a biological package so perfectly designed that it can build life from a single cell. And when you eat it, that same intelligence goes to work repairing your brain, stabilizing your blood sugar, and protecting your body from silent damage you don't feel until it's too late. One large egg contains zero carbohydrates, which means it does not spike blood sugar or insulin. And this alone is critical because repeated insulin spikes are now recognized as a major driver of inflammation, belly fat, type 2 diabetes, heart disease, and accelerated aging. When insulin stays elevated day after day, cells stop responding to it, glucose lingers in the blood, and that excess sugar binds to proteins and fats, forming advanced glycation end products that stiffen arteries, cloud vision, damage nerves, and slowly erode organs from the inside. Eggs bypass this entire cascade, feeding the body without triggering the hormonal chaos that modern diets create. Each egg delivers about 6 grams of complete protein containing all 9 essential amino acids in ratios nearly identical to human muscle tissue, which is why eggs are considered the gold standard for protein quality in nutritional science. As we age, muscle loss accelerates, a process known as sarcopenia, and research shows that inadequate protein intake is one of the strongest predictors of weakness, falls, loss of independence, and early mortality. Eggs directly counter this by stimulating muscle protein synthesis, even in older adults whose muscles have become resistant to growth signals. But the power of eggs goes far beyond protein. The yolk contains choline, a nutrient so vital that it is used to build acetylcholine, a neurotransmitter essential for memory, focus, learning, and muscle control. Low choline levels have been linked to cognitive decline, fatty liver disease, and increased risk of neurological disorders, yet over 90% of people fail to meet daily choline requirements. One egg provides a significant portion of what your brain needs to function clearly, and studies show that higher choline intake is associated with better memory performance and reduced brain inflammation. Eggs are also rich in lutein and zeaxanthin, antioxidants that accumulate directly in the retina, where they filter harmful blue light and protect against macular degeneration, one of the leading causes of blindness worldwide. These compounds don't just protect vision, they also cross into the brain, where higher levels have been associated with faster processing speed and improved cognitive resilience. Then there is cholesterol, the most misunderstood molecule in nutrition. Your brain is nearly 60% fat, and cholesterol is a fundamental building block of every brain cell membrane. The liver produces cholesterol because the body cannot survive without it. Yet dietary cholesterol from eggs has been shown in study after study to have little to no effect on blood cholesterol levels for most people. In fact, eggs tend to increase HDL, the so-called good cholesterol, which helps remove excess cholesterol from arteries and transport it back to the liver for recycling. This is not theory. It is documented in controlled clinical trials. Eggs also contain vitamin D, a hormone-like nutrient involved in immune regulation, bone strength, and mood stability, and deficiency is linked to higher rates of infections, depression, autoimmune disease, and even certain cancers. Vitamin A in eggs supports immune defenses and cellular repair, while vitamin B12 protects nerves and prevents the silent neurological damage that can lead to numbness, balance problems, and memory loss. What makes eggs especially powerful is how they affect hunger hormones. Research shows that eating eggs for breakfast significantly reduces ghrelin, the hormone that drives hunger, while increasing peptide YY, a hormone that signals fullness. People who eat eggs in the morning consistently consume fewer calories throughout the day without trying because their biology is finally aligned with their appetite. Stable blood sugar means no mid-morning crash, no urgent cravings, no emotional eating driven by fluctuating glucose levels. Over time, this hormonal stability reduces fat storage and lowers systemic inflammation, two of the strongest predictors of chronic disease. Eggs also support metabolic flexibility, the body's ability to switch between burning glucose and fat. When carbohydrates are constantly present, the body forgets how to burn fat efficiently, but eggs allow insulin to remain low, encouraging fat oxidation and ketone production, which provide a clean, steady fuel for the brain. This is why so many people report mental clarity, improved focus, and calmer moods when eggs become a regular part of their diet. There is also emerging evidence that egg consumption supports cardiovascular health rather than harming it, with large population studies showing no increased risk of heart disease among egg eaters, and in some cases, lower risk of stroke. The fear that once surrounded eggs was built on outdated assumptions that ignored the complexity of human metabolism. Eggs are not just food, they are biological instructions telling your body to repair tissue, stabilize energy, and protect vital organs. When you remove eggs from the diet, you often replace them with refined carbohydrates that do the exact opposite, fueling inflammation and metabolic dysfunction. Incorporating eggs daily is not extreme, it is ancestral, because humans have relied on eggs for nourishment for thousands of years. Whether boiled, lightly cooked, or gently scrambled in healthy fats, eggs provide one of the highest nutrient-to-calorie ratios available, making them especially valuable for those seeking health without excess calories. The shell may be fragile, but what it protects is one of nature's most resilient nutritional designs. And when you understand this, you realize that something so simple has the power to quietly change the trajectory of your health, one cell at a time, starting the moment it becomes part of your daily life. Fish and seafood have fed human brains long before cities, medicine, or written language existed, and modern science is now confirming what evolution quietly engineered, because the nutrients concentrated in fish are not optional luxuries, but structural components of the human nervous system itself, and when they are missing, the body does not simply feel tired. It slowly breaks down in ways that are often blamed on aging, but are actually driven by deficiency. Fish contains 0 carbohydrates, which means it nourishes cells without provoking insulin spikes. But its true power lies in the omega-3 fatty acids, EPA and DHA, fats so biologically active that they physically embed themselves into the membranes of brain cells, heart tissue, and blood vessels, determining how flexible, responsive, and resilient those cells will be. DHA alone makes up a large portion of the gray matter in the brain, and studies show that low DHA levels are associated with faster cognitive decline, impaired memory, depression, and increased risk of neurodegenerative diseases. When omega-3 intake is inadequate, brain cells become rigid, communication between neurons slows, and inflammation quietly rises, damaging synapses long before symptoms appear. This is why populations with high fish consumption consistently show lower rates of dementia, Alzheimer's disease, and stroke. Omega-3s also act as powerful anti-inflammatory agents, not by masking inflammation like drugs, but by actively resolving it at the cellular level. Chronic inflammation is now recognized as a root cause of heart disease, cancer, diabetes, arthritis, and autoimmune disorders, and blood tests reveal that people who consume fish regularly have significantly lower inflammatory markers such as C-reactive protein. Fish does not just protect the brain, it protects the heart in ways that are measurable and dramatic. EPA improves endothelial function, allowing blood vessels to relax and dilate, which lowers blood pressure and improves circulation. DHA stabilizes heart rhythm, reducing the risk of fatal arrhythmias, a leading cause of sudden cardiac death. Large clinical trials have shown that omega-3 intake reduces triglycerides, one of the strongest predictors of heart attack risk, without the side effects associated with medications. Fish also provides selenium, a trace mineral essential for antioxidant defense and thyroid function. Selenium deficiency has been linked to weakened immunity, impaired metabolism, and increased oxidative damage, yet many soils are depleted of this mineral, making fish one of the most reliable dietary sources. Then there is iodine, especially in seafood, which is critical for thyroid hormone production. The thyroid governs metabolic rate, temperature regulation, and energy production, and iodine deficiency remains one of the most common and underdiagnosed nutritional problems worldwide, leading to fatigue, weight gain, brain fog, and hormonal imbalance. Fish delivers iodine in a bioavailable form that the body can actually use. Protein from fish is also uniquely beneficial. It is easily digestible, highly bioavailable, and rich in essential amino acids that preserve lean muscle mass. As people age, muscle loss accelerates and metabolic rate slows, increasing the risk of frailty and insulin resistance. Fish protein stimulates muscle repair while being gentler on the digestive system than many other protein sources, making it especially valuable for older adults. But fish does something even more profound at the metabolic level. By providing fat and protein without carbohydrates, it keeps insulin low, allowing the body to access stored fat for energy. This metabolic shift improves insulin sensitivity, reduces visceral fat around organs, and lowers the risk of type 2 diabetes. Studies show that people who eat fish multiple times per week have better glucose control and a lower incidence of metabolic syndrome, even when calorie intake is similar. Fish also influences mood and emotional stability. Omega-3 fatty acids are involved in serotonin and dopamine signaling, neurotransmitters that regulate mood, motivation, and emotional resilience. Low omega-3 levels have been observed in individuals with depression, anxiety, and bipolar disorder, and supplementation or increased fish intake has been shown to improve symptoms in many cases. This is not placebo, it is chemistry. The brain cannot manufacture omega-3s efficiently, so when they are missing, neurotransmitter balance suffers. Fish also supports vision in powerful ways. DHA is a major structural component of the retina. An inadequate intake has been linked to visual decline and increased risk of macular degeneration. Eating fish supplies the raw materials needed to maintain visual sharpness and protect against age-related eye damage. What makes fish especially impactful is consistency. Eating fish 3 to 4 times per week has been associated with measurable changes in blood lipid profiles, inflammatory markers, and cognitive performance within months. Preparation matters, but it does not need to be complicated. Grilling, baking, steaming, or lightly pan-searing fish in healthy fats preserves its nutrients without introducing harmful compounds. Avoiding breading and sugary sauces keeps the metabolic benefits intact. Even canned fish like sardines and salmon retain most of their omega-3 content and provide an affordable, accessible option for daily life. The fear of fat that once pushed people away from fish has been dismantled by decades of research, revealing that it is not fat that damages health, but unstable blood sugar and chronic inflammation. Fish addresses both simultaneously. When fish is removed from the diet, it is often replaced by refined carbohydrates that inflame blood vessels, impair insulin signaling, and starve the brain of the fats it requires to function optimally. This replacement is not neutral. It actively accelerates disease. Fish is not a trend or a superfood invented by marketing. It is a foundational nutrient source encoded into human biology. From brain development in the womb to cognitive preservation in old age, fish supplies molecules that the body cannot replace with plants or synthetic substitutes. When fish becomes a regular part of life, energy stabilizes, inflammation quiets, and the brain regains clarity not through stimulation, but through nourishment. This is why cultures that prioritize fish do not just live longer, they maintain mental sharpness and functional independence deeper into life. Fish does not shout its benefits. It whispers them at the cellular level, reshaping membranes, calming immune responses, and fueling the brain with the fats it was designed to run on. And once you understand this, you realize that something pulled from the depths of the ocean may be one of the most powerful tools we have to protect the future of human health. Chicken, turkey, beef, and lamb, meat, has fueled humanity for hundreds of thousands of years. And science now confirms that these staples of ancestral diets are not just food, they are essential biological tools that your body cannot replicate on its own, because within each bite lies a complex network of proteins, amino acids, vitamins, and minerals that orchestrate every aspect of cellular function, energy production, and immune resilience. And when these nutrients are missing, the body slowly deteriorates, often without warning, until weakness, fatigue, and disease become impossible to ignore. Meat contains 0 carbohydrates, which means it delivers energy and sustenance without triggering the dangerous insulin spikes that lead to fat accumulation, chronic inflammation, and metabolic disease. Every meal of meat signals the body to repair, rebuild, and restore. And this is not theory. Controlled studies show that high-quality animal protein increases muscle protein synthesis, preserves lean mass, and strengthens bones, especially in older adults whose bodies have become resistant to growth signals. Muscle is not merely about strength, it is a critical metabolic organ. Loss of muscle is a predictor of insulin resistance, falls, fractures, and early mortality. Consuming sufficient meat ensures that muscles receive the amino acids they need to maintain integrity, function, and repair even under the stresses of aging or chronic illness. Beef, especially grass-fed beef, is dense with iron, zinc, and B vitamins, nutrients that are fundamental to oxygen transport, DNA repair, and neurological function. Iron deficiency, one of the most common nutritional deficiencies worldwide, impairs cognition, reduces endurance, and weakens immunity. Zinc regulates hundreds of enzymatic processes, from hormone production to wound healing, and deficiency is linked to impaired immune responses and slower recovery from illness. Vitamin B12, which is virtually absent in plant foods, is essential for nerve health, red blood cell formation, and mental clarity, and its deficiency can lead to neurological damage that may be irreversible if not addressed. Poultry, including chicken and turkey, provides lean, digestible protein that fuels metabolism without overloading the digestive system, making it especially valuable for older adults or those with sensitive digestion. Amino acids like leucine, found in high concentrations in poultry, are particularly effective at stimulating muscle protein synthesis and preserving strength even in sedentary individuals. This preservation of muscle is not cosmetic. It directly impacts metabolic health, stabilizes blood sugar, and reduces the risk of chronic disease. Meat also supplies creatine, a molecule critical for rapid energy production in muscles and brain tissue, which enhances strength, endurance, and cognitive performance. Clinical research consistently shows that dietary creatine improves exercise capacity, supports brain function, and even provides neuroprotective benefits in aging populations. Beyond protein and amino acids, meat delivers conjugated linoleic acid, a fatty acid that has been associated with reduced body fat and anti-inflammatory effects. Fat in meat is not inherently harmful. It is a carrier for fat-soluble vitamins A, D, E, and K, each of which is essential for immune function, bone health, and cardiovascular protection. Removing meat from the diet without proper planning often leads to deficiencies in these nutrients, which can silently impair organ function and accelerate degenerative processes. Regular meat consumption also supports hormone production. Cholesterol and saturated fats from meat are precursors for steroid hormones such as testosterone, estrogen, and cortisol, which regulate energy, metabolism, stress responses, and reproductive health. Low dietary intake of these building blocks can compromise hormonal balance, reducing vitality and resilience. Meat's impact on satiety is profound. Unlike refined carbohydrates, which spike insulin and then crash energy, protein-rich meat stimulates peptide YY and other satiety hormones, helping regulate appetite naturally and prevent overeating. This effect is supported by numerous studies showing that protein-rich meals reduce caloric intake over the course of the day without conscious effort, supporting weight management and metabolic health simultaneously. Eating meat strategically throughout the day, paired with carb-free vegetables or healthy fats, ensures a stable supply of amino acids and fat-soluble nutrients to the body, which supports cellular repair, brain function, and energy production. Preparation matters, but it does not need to be complicated. Simple roasting, grilling, or slow cooking preserves the nutrient density of meat without introducing harmful chemicals, while avoiding processed meats high in sugar, starch, and additives prevents metabolic disruption. When meat is absent from the diet, it is often replaced by carbohydrate-heavy alternatives that may taste satisfying but lack the building blocks needed for optimal physiology, leading over time to metabolic dysfunction, hormonal imbalance, and chronic inflammation. Meat also has profound neurological implications. Amino acids from meat are precursors to neurotransmitters such as dopamine, serotonin, and norepinephrine, which govern mood, motivation, focus, and cognitive clarity. Without these essential precursors, mental fog, irritability, and depression can silently emerge long before outward signs are obvious. Epidemiological studies show that populations with regular meat consumption tend to have better physical and cognitive outcomes across the lifespan, and intervention studies confirm that meat intake improves markers of strength, metabolic health, and even mental performance in both young and elderly participants. Meat is not just food for the body, it is nourishment for every system, from the brain and muscles to the heart and immune defenses. It stabilizes blood sugar, reduces inflammatory stress, preserves functional strength, and supplies molecules that cannot be replaced synthetically or through plants alone. Every bite triggers repair energy production, and resilience, silently counteracting the damage of modern diets dominated by refined carbohydrates, vegetable oils, and processed foods. Consuming meat regularly is not indulgence. It is a biologically intelligent choice, one that aligns with how humans evolved and how our physiology continues to thrive. When integrated thoughtfully, meat empowers metabolism, protects cognitive function, preserves muscle, and strengthens the immune system, quietly transforming the trajectory of health over weeks, months, and years. To understand meat in this way is to see it not as mere sustenance, but as a tool of longevity, a source of vitality, and a foundation for a life of strength, clarity, and resilience, because the science is unequivocal. When protein, fat, and essential nutrients arrive consistently from meat, the body repairs, restores, and thrives in ways that no supplement or shortcut can replicate. It is the kind of nutrition that rewires the body for energy, sharpens the mind, stabilizes hormones, and defends against the chronic illnesses that silently erode life when essential nutrients are missing. And when this knowledge becomes action, the simple act of adding high-quality, zero-carb meat to your daily routine can quietly, powerfully, and irrevocably change the way your body functions, how you feel, and how long you thrive.